Hello everyone, welcome to Lotus Heart Tarot. I'm very happy to have you here. We are going to dive right into your reading. I don't know how I'm going to follow up yesterday's reading. That reading was intense for me. And judging by the length of time you guys watched it, it seems like you were pretty interested in it too. If you missed yesterday's reading, you might want to go back and watch it. It was very aligned. All right, here we go. We're going to dive in. We're going to see what today's reading has in store for us. What do we need to know? What does Pisces need to know right now, please, Spirit? What does Pisces need to know right now? What is important for Pisces? Wow, okay, Pisces. We're getting 4 energies here coming out. Wow. Woo. Okay. Wow. We've been talking a lot about the balance between masculine and feminine energy, and you're getting yin-yang lover on the bottom of the deck. This was the first card that flipped over, and it flipped over and stayed in the deck. It was the only one. The others all fell out. Actually, these are reversed. So let's see what we have here. I'm just going to scoot these up. I noticed I'm not putting the cards all the way up to the top here. Okay, whoa, wow. This feels like very powerful energy. We are about to head into eclipse season, and I'm just telling you, the Schumann resonance went off the charts the other day. If you don't know what the Schumann resonance is, you can look it up, but I don't want to get off topic, but it does feel like these energies are, especially this one, is really connecting me with that. But, you know, there's a lot happening right now energetically. I don't know if it's tied to astrology. I don't know if it's tied to like solar flares. I don't know what it's tied to, but I can definitely feel that there's like an uptick in energy, and I've been saying this for like a week, maybe more. I don't know. I don't have any sense of time, but there are things that have been hidden or have been underneath the surface, and there are periods of time that are sort of conducive to that, and we see that astrologically, right? Like at different points, but they can't stay locked down. They can't stay hidden. They can't stay repressed, suppressed, you know, whatever. They eventually come out. Everything boils to the surface. Everything is revealed in time. And that's kind of the energy that I'm getting right now. It's just this, you know, kind of bubbling up to the surface type energy. This towering magnificence, if I'm going to be simple about this, because we have 4 cards, this is our connection to the divine. This is the presence of divinity in our life. And, you know, we see little sparks of it here and there, right? In the material world where, you know, you see angel numbers, or, you know, a feather crosses your path, or, wow, even like yesterday's reading, there were a bunch of comments like 1111, 222, you know, tons of synchronicities with the reading itself. And those are ways I like, when it comes to tarot and what happens on my tarot table, I talk about it like little miracles. But there are little ways in which our hope and our faith are sort of validated and restored. You know, that, wow, yeah, there definitely has to be something deeper, bigger, huger going on here, you know. These are the little material ways in which we get that type of confirmation. And so, you know, watch for signs and synchronicities. Remember that the divinity is all around you. You can tap into it at any time. Your prayers are heard. They may not always be answered, but it may not always be in your highest and best for that prayer to be answered, right? Just bear in mind that you are surrounded, and that this towering magnificence is all around us. You know, we are living and breathing in this divinity. You know, it's easy to forget right now, I feel. The breaking is, you know, an energy of, you know, where things break down inside of us that are not in our highest and best. And, you know, with this towering magnificence and the breaking, even when things are really falling apart, you know, the Tower, right, is the card that we talk about things all falling apart, right? And, you know, it used to be whenever I would see the Tower card as a tarot reader, I literally would get freaked. There are two cards that I never leave uncovered, the Devil and the Tower. And the reason why is because they both scared me for a long, long time. And I always got in the habit of clarifying them. And I feel like if they scared me, they probably scare other people when I'm reading. So I just want to get clarity on the situation. But as I have gone through my tarot journey, and I've read tarot cards every day pretty much for, goodness gracious, like, well, I started my first tarot channel on YouTube 5 years ago. So, and I started my Instagram account, I think in 2019, but I was reading obviously before then. I mean, I knew what I was doing when I started. So, you know, you start to really understand, and you start to see things from a different perspective. And I really associate the Tower now much more with divine intervention than I do with my life falling apart. And I see my life falling apart as something that has to happen in order for something better to be built in its place. So I welcome the falling apart. And it's a different mindset than I definitely had when I first started out. And these two cards, these two energies, especially coming out right next to each other like this, is an energy of, you know, you are never alone. You are, and there is never, so crazy. I said, you're never alone, and my dog started going nuts. Oh, Bubba, you're fine. It's fine. You're handsome. He's been a little cuddler today, and he's not normally like that. But anyway, he's a protector. Aren't you, Bubba? Yeah, you're a protector. This energy is just, it's like you're never alone. You know, it may feel like things are falling apart, but there is divinity in everything. And there is, you know, divine order in all the chaos that happens. And, you know, when you can really trust that, when you can really have faith in that, then when things fall apart, you don't fall apart. You know, your faith sustains you, right? And so there's just this energy, and it feels like a reminder of, you know, in all things there is divinity. In all things there is purpose. In all things there is perfection and chaos, the duality. And it's okay, and you'll survive, you know. And it is important for us to see these signs and synchronicities, and to, you know, find those confirmations and those validations and see them. You know, for me, I honestly feel like just walking in nature is, I find the greatest confirmation. You know, things are born, things die, things spread, things, you know, die back. You know, one thing has taken over at one moment, and the next thing, something else has taken over. You know, there is an ebb and a flow. And there isn't a constant. It's ever changing. You know, I have a botanical garden that I walk in all the time, like at least once a week. And, you know, I can see the subtle changes, and I can see the bigger changes. And I love feeling like I'm a part of that environment, and that environment is a part of me. And it is such a great reminder to me of just, you know, some days there are tons of butterflies out, and some days there are tons of dragonflies out, and some days there aren't, you know, and some days there are lots of flowers blooming, and some days there's a lot of, you know, deadheads kind of hanging on the vine, and, you know, hanging on the trees and the bushes and the stems. But there's always something happening. And even in those moments where everything is dying, it's dying so that it can be reborn. It's dying so that another flower can bloom, right? And these are all just such great reminders. And I feel like there's something here with this, the breaking and this towering magnificence. You may have gone through a really difficult period of time, or this could be someone who's attached to you. They may be going through a really difficult time. They may be experiencing a tower moment. Their faith may be being restored. They may even be having like kind of a spiritual rebirth here, or some kind of ascension. And then you have this gorgeous energy of gifts received. And this is the thing. When things fall apart and they break apart, they make space for us to let new things into our life. This card reminds us to just relax and to open up to what is coming our way, and to kind of steady our heart so that we can be in a space where we really are open to being receptive. And so, yeah, it's like the ebb and flow of life. Like, we're making space with it, with the breaking. And then we're fortifying ourselves and reminding ourselves, yeah, you know what? Things are going to change, and we're going to be receiving. We have cleared space. We have, you know, room for something new to sort of take root and to come into our life. And then you have this riding the cosmic wave, which is like one of my favorite energies. You know, when like, if you're swimming, you can only possibly swim so far, so fast. Even Michael Phelps can only swim so far, so fast, you know? We are limited by our human condition. But when we let go into the wave, right? The wave can take us, and the wave can push us, and the wave can push us far beyond what the limitations of our human self are. So we can move way further, way faster. It's like if I'm in a sailboat and I'm rowing, I can only, you know, go very, very short distance. I'm not very strong upper body. Well, I mean, I'm all right, but I'm not like, you know, gonna get across the Atlantic anytime soon, you know? But if I have the wind at my back, and I just allow the wind to push me, I'm gonna cover tons more territory. I'm gonna make way more progress. And so this is sort of giving in to what wants to be, or what is, or kind of like what the plan is. And if you have truly stilled your heart and are open to receive, you are completely open and willing to this energy of the cosmic wave. You don't need to control it. You don't need to be in charge of it. You don't need to have a perfect plan and a perfect strategy and, you know, have perfected everything. You can just sort of go with the flow and ride the wave. You have something that is coming in how do I want to say this? It's coming in with like magnetic force. It is like kind of the law of attraction. You know, when the male and female end of a magnet finally enter into each other's space, right? Space of influence, I'll call it. Boom, they come together immediately, and they're very stuck together. You know, you have to really work to pull them apart. But the natural law, the natural influence is once they hit the sphere of influence of each other, boom, they're connected, they're attracted, they smash into each other. And you have to physically remove them from each other in order to get them apart. This is something that's coming into your field when you're going with the flow, when you're open to whatever is. What this is giving me is it's all going to work out. It's all going to be good here, Pisces. All right. So trust it. Let's see. Let me see what we have here. For Pisces, please, Spirit. For Pisces. My God. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. This is crazy. So energy flipped around in the deck like this, but so it's not coming out, but it wants us to see it. There is a building energy here. Wow. Man, we just had a card the other day, reflection. I feel like I just really remember that energy. And it feels very much similar to this. Hold on, I feel like I really want to connect with that energy. Like it's very, very much the energy that we're experiencing here. Or that is even coming out in the cards here. But I can't ever like mindfully remember a reading like at all. I can remember energies and feelings, and sometimes there are important words that I remember. But it's weird. I feel like I should be doing this, putting it here. You have this space and isolation energy where it's like you may have been in separation from someone and you may have felt quite isolated or quite alone. Or you may have actually even just, I can even see for some of you possibly having spent years by yourself and having kind of nothing but space. And maybe even this was tranquil, this was calm. Gray is a very peaceful color, right? And there are moments in life where we welcome these energies, right? Where these energies are soothing and nourishing and what we need, you know, to heal, to find ourselves, to do the exploring that we're meant to do for our soul purpose even. And it feels like though, Pisces, you really, either you're looking to come out of this energy or you're ready to come out of this energy. You may have even been in a bit of a state of reflection. It's interesting because what is a relationship? It's us in relation to another, right? There's two, right? And so it's us in relationship to another. When we are by ourselves, this is a duality, right? When we're by ourselves, we're just like this. And there is no other to mirror us, to anchor us, to influence us, to push us to grow, to push us to see different things within ourselves. If we're by ourselves, we can learn and we can grow, but it's in a different way, right? It's like because we're curious, because we're studying, because we're reflecting on past relationships where we were in relation to another. And sometimes we need these points to heal from what being in relationship to another has done. You know, as I say many times, if you try to balance out with a misaligned person, it's going to misalign you. Very, very, very rarely does the aligned person pull the misaligned person into alignment, because alignment is a choice and it's hard work and it's discipline. And those are things we tend to sacrifice when we start putting another person in our sphere as important to us. And so we misalign because we have then made them the central focus instead of ourselves. Here we can stay aligned. Here is much harder. So there seems to have been some kind of reflection point here, either for you or someone else, where it's like I'm looking maybe at all of my relationships, or I'm looking at the ways in which I relate to other people, or I'm looking at a relationship in particular, and you know, how being in relation to that person affected me. Maybe I really liked it, maybe I didn't, maybe I learned a lot from it, positively or negatively, you know, like difficult, like because it was fraught with difficulty or because it was fraught with love, you know. But it is time. It is time. That is what I'm getting. It is time. to enter the flow. And when we enter the flow and we're riding the cosmic wave, there's a high, there's a rush from that, from knowing that you're in the flow state. Like, as an artist, like as a photographer, I would often be photographing things and completely lose sense of time, and like people had to remind me to eat. I didn't eat quite a bit. Like I wouldn't come up for breath or for air. And then I did editing, photo editing, and I would get so lost in my process that I would just be there for hours and hours and hours and hours. And it comes from a state of passion, being passionate about what you're doing, loving what you're doing, and being so at one with it and with the experience of it that almost like the human body part of you sort of falls away. The limitations, the fear, all of those kind of things that limit us fall away. And that's the energy I got here with riding the cosmic wave when I was talking to you about swimming versus, just letting the waves take me, or being in a sailboat and rowing versus letting, the wind blow me, right? And that is this energy. It's like getting into a state of passion, possibly even about your own life, your own experience. This can come definitely from a sense of gratitude, which we've been talking a lot about lately. And it doesn't have to come from there, but I just find that most of my high vibration energy is easiest to really feel when I am in a deep state of gratitude, or when I start at a deep state of gratitude and let that flow kind of take me, like see where it goes. All right. But this is telling me once you are open enough to release control and enter the flow, you become a very powerful magnet for that which you are really seeking and what you really want and what you're really passionate about. There are very similar energies, this is like the second day in a row. And again, I don't use this deck I've had for many years, and I love this deck. I used to use it all the time. I think I used to pull a card from it every day for myself. But I haven't used it in a very long time. So when I pulled it out, I was like, wow. Okay. Apathy. Okay, guys, there's just this energy here where some of you were in relationships that were not made public, or were it was like your own thing, and maybe it worked when you were in your own bubble, but it didn't work. It never really got the chance to be a full-fledged relationship publicly. You have also girl with the popcorn. You also have sorry, not sorry, and cool with whatever. This is giving me it's giving me a lot of, I don't know, I associate this energy with poor Gen Z. I don't know, maybe millennials are also facing this. I guess they are, yeah, because I have a lot of friends that are millennials. I'm kind of on the verge of Gen X and millennial. But there's just this energy of like pretending or pretense when it comes to relationships. Like, yeah, I'm just cool with whatever. And, like we don't, like if we show actual interest in someone, or we let them know, it's not that human feelings have changed from the time I was dating to the time my children are dating. But it is that, how do I even want to say this? it's not that our feelings or our desires or our wants or our needs are different. You know, we want security, we want stability, we want a soft place to fall. These are the things we've always wanted. We've wanted to be seen, we've wanted to be heard. These are basic human needs and desires and wants, right? And they have been forever. This is why tarot is still relevant, even though it's hundreds of years old. Because even though the world has dramatically changed, society has dramatically changed, you know, the human condition has dramatically changed, we are all still the same inside. We have the same wants, we have the same desires, we want to know about the same things, we're worried about the same things, we want insight on the same things that several generations ago also wanted. Okay, they may not have had cars or the internet or telephones or, you know, cures for diseases or, you know, transportation like we have now, but like the human needs, the human wants, the human condition in certain ways, you know, the core and the soul and the spiritual experience of being human really hasn't changed. And so this poor generation, where they have to act like they don't care, where they have to remain, you know, being detached is okay. You know, there's a positive to that. We don't want to form, you know, codependent attachments and stuff like that. But this whole like game playing, like, oh, it doesn't matter to me, I don't care, you know, like I have to wait until someone, you know, chases me, and then I have to be really hard to get, and then they have to show me their emotional immaturity or their whatever side, because they don't want to be the one that's whooped in the relationship or whatever. I mean, it's insane. It's almost like the opposite of what would actually be helpful. Yet, if you don't do it that way, people are like, oh, you're needy, you're clingy, you're this, you're that. You know what I mean? So, and the whole purpose is to like relate to the other. I mean, it's just crazy. It's insane. I don't know. I am so thankful that you know, a lot of that energy, you know, talking to my kids and their friends and listening to their dating experiences and like how you have to be and what's cool and what's not cool, and like, you know, it's like, oh, that's part of what got me into this, you know, because I mean, love is the answer, in my opinion, for everything, always, all the time, you know, and so this is just, it's like hard to watch. It's just hard to even know is happening. Honestly, there's a lot that's hard to know that's happening in the world right now. But this feels like that, where it's like all these apathetic relationships and all these, you know, you're hoping that if you go along with it and if you show someone how amazing you are and this and that they're gonna say, oh yeah, okay, this is the one for me, and then you can drop all the pretenses and actually have a relationship, you know, or like get honest and get authentic and get real. But very rarely does that happen. You know, a lot of times when relationships kind of start like this and kind of go like this, and, you know, I don't know, it's like, it's kind of almost built on a false pretense to begin with, and it falls apart. So there's some other way. There has to be some other way, which is what I'm always trying to get to the bottom of in my tarot. But you have Team Awesome on the bottom here. So there is something here where you are attracting this. It just keeps showing up here for you, Pisces, in this reading. It's showing up in all three of your oracle decks, that there is someone. It says healthy and open communication, spending time together, compatible, on the same page. So either you find this person, or, you know, potentially someone from your past who has been reflecting on this, has had some time on their own, is realizing that, you know, this wasn't working for them. Let's dive into the tarot and see what happens here. I am so thankful. My son has an amazing girlfriend that they have gotten very, very serious. And my daughter, well, I don't want to talk about my kids. But yeah, I am just thankful that both of them have what they have. All right, here we go. Wow, 2 6s, hell yes, come out first. Amazing. All right, so we have the 6 of Swords and the 6 of Cups with the 2 of Swords on the bottom of the deck. This is a period of stagnancy where we are alone by ourselves, where we're like, I don't want to see it. I don't want to open my heart to it. I don't want to deal with it. You know, this apathy hurts us. It hurts our soul. It makes us feel abandoned and rejected, and like what we really are is not okay. It's painful, you know, and it wrecks our view of ourself. It's really hard. The detachment that is required in a situation like that is to not take it personally. And, you know, we're human. It's hard not to take this stuff personally. And when you've had these things happen time and time again, you've experienced these apathetic situations or these situations with people who are not emotionally available. You know, you start to shut down. You start to not be open. You know, you start to close down your divine feminine energy because you've been hurt so many times. You've been open to receive, and you've tried to be open, and you've tried to be vulnerable, and you keep getting, I don't know, the word asshat just came to mind, so take that as it resonates. I did just read something that like people who cuss make better friends, and I was like, I'm gonna use that to my defense, although I don't cuss that much. But the thing is, this is like, I'm not open. And that is so sad. You know, this is like my eyes are closed, my heart is closed. You know, I'm using these 2 swords to protect myself. Don't come near me. You know, I'm fiercely independent. I don't need anybody else, you know, kind of energy. And we've gotten used to kind of feeling like we have to chase love, or we have to run from it. You're either a runner or you're a chaser. You know, and it, like, neither one of those are healthy positions to be in. So what I love is that we're attracting here, you know, with Yin Yang Lover and with passion and with awesome team or team awesome, whatever. This is all about attraction. This is all about being the energy you want to be with and aligning, being the energy you want to be, and having that energy align with you. And with these 2 6s, 6s talk about alignment. They talk about harmony and unity and coming together and balance. And this is a balancing of the mind, right? And a balancing of the heart. So this is a really beautiful energy. This is, you know, becoming who you want to be, body, mind, and spirit. And not needing to protect ourselves in this way. When we are in alignment with these energies, these apathetic energies don't stand a chance. They can't connect with us, you know, because we're too high of a frequency. And it's all about alignment and attraction. You're like, when it comes to, you know, 2 magnets, if one magnet is a stronger magnet than the other magnet, it has all the power and it sucks the other magnet to it, and the other magnet sort of loses its intensity in the grip of the bigger magnet, right? But if the magnets are equal and they come together, they can lay flat, you know, just female to male, you know, energy. I don't know if that makes sense, but okay. Damn. So you have the 6 of Swords with the Knight of Wands in reverse. You know, the Knight of Wands is a very in and out energy, and it's also like, I'm just going after what I desire. You know, I'm not thinking about like the complications. I'm not, it's this simple. I want that. I'm going to have that kind of energy. And with the Six of Swords, there is a mindfulness here when it comes to this, because when all we are considering is ourself, right? It's like consumerism. Okay, I'm just going to use that as an example. All right, let's say I'm just a consumer and I am just over here buying everything I want, and I'm ordering it from all over the world, and I'm having it shipped to me in disposable things, and I'm buying disposable stuff, and I'm buying fast fashion, and I'm, you know, eating and consuming in all plastic containers, and I'm throwing it all away because the only thing I'm worried about is what do I desire in this moment. And oh, that's cheap, that's fast, that's easy. I'm gonna get that. And I have no care or consideration at all for Mother Earth, for, you know, my children, for their children, for their children's children, for their children's children's children. And I have no care for my neighbor, and I have no care for, you know, the people in the country over there and the country over there, and you know what I'm saying? Then you know what? Okay, you know, I am a huge part of the problem, right? Because I'm just all I care about is having what I want. I don't care about anybody else. I don't care about the planet. I don't care about anything. All I care about is me and having what I want the fastest way, the cheapest way, the easiest way for me. That's kind of the Knight of Wands energy that I'm getting here. And with it being in reverse, this is like me saying, whoa, 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 there's a way bigger picture. And, you know, I may not be able to solve all the problems myself, but I can not be part of the problem. I can turn down this volume on my consumerism, and I can make smarter purchases. I can order less. I can grow it myself. I can make it myself. I can, you know, go down the street to where, you know, my neighbor is making it themselves and I can buy it from them. I can, you know, whatever, right? I can take steps that show that I am not just concerned about myself and what I want and having it the fastest, easiest, cheapest way. It's so crazy. Like, as I'm having this conversation with you, I don't know if you can tell, but it got really dark in my office because a storm just is like coming in. And the palm tree outside my office is just like blowing like crazy as I'm having this conversation. It's making me feel like Mother Nature is like, yes, and I'm very angry at you. You know what I mean? But anyway, with the Six of Swords and this Knight of Wands in reverse, there's a certain peace that comes with knowing I'm doing my part. I'm doing the best I can. Yes, I have needs, I have wants, I have, you know, whatever, but I am figuring out how to care about, how to achieve that while caring about more than just myself and my own situation, and saying, you know what, somebody else will worry about that some other time. It's someone else's problem. You know what I mean? Okay, and then you have the Six of Cups, which is like, this is a very important energy. I don't even want to try to just skate over it or just say that like that is a great example and so now there it is. But this is a very important energy, because when we show that we care about others as much as we care about ourselves, we're ready for a relationship. We are ready, because that is what it is like. I still care about myself the most, but I care about others I see others as my equal. I see others as important, as important as I am, you know, and I am considering the ripple effects and the long-term effects of what I of what I'm doing here, right? Because with the 10 of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck, to put it all into perspective, this is about legacy. This is about what kind of mark are you leaving on the world. This is about what are you building? What are you doing? What are you investing in? And there is it's kind of crazy that we have the Knight of Wands coming out in reverse, and then we have the Ace of Wands coming out upright. The universe provides. And the universe is an abundant universe, and it provides. And remember, we have that Tower of Magnificence energy next to that breaking energy. This is just almost like a complete example of that. With the Six of Cups and the Ace of Wands, this is an energy of, our heart, the frequency that our heart gives out, and the energetic, power that, like, when you're manifesting, if you're able to manifest through your heart space, or like when you're meditating, if you're able to mentally breathe through your heart space, the intensity and the power of what you're doing is 1,000-fold more. And so this is like, it is like asking for what you want through your heart space, and aligning with what you want through your heart space, and the universe saying, oh, this is what you want, here it is, here's your opportunity, there you go. And this is aligning you with the legacy that you want to leave, because you're letting go of the thing that may be fastest and easiest, and you can get it yourself kind of energy. And this is all about you, and you being pleasured, and you having what you want in your life, and calming your mind by just taking reaching milestone, doing this, doing that, but not really ever considering the impact it's having on other people. And this is, I am aligning with this frequency through my heart space, through my most authentic and highest resonating energy space in my body, in my being. And as I'm doing that, I'm calling it into being from the universe, and the universe is responding. The universe is answering. This doesn't have a carbon footprint, okay. Anyway, all right. Sometimes we know not where we go. I often, yeah. Okay, here we go, guys. Wow. Yeah, so we have Judgment with the High Priestess. This could definitely be that, someone is wanting another chance. I will tell you right now, what I'm consumed with is Judgment is XX, which is 1010, which is 20. It's the 20 card. And then you have the 10 of Swords, and then you have the 10 of Pentacles. Can you see that? What is going on here? I tell you, when I have both my dogs, my stuff just seems to get knocked around all the time. But this is definitely a completion, and we see it here. We see it here. There's completion energy here for sure. And you have, what's killing me is now I'm seeing the High Priestess as 1-1, because this is the 2 card, and it's I, right? 10-10, 1-1. I don't know. There's something here, because that's the ending and that's the beginning. 10s and 1s. No, Bobsy, no. Bubber. No, buddy. No. What are you talking about? You're getting punchy all around us. Bobsy and Honey. You come here and get some loving. You come here and get some loving. Come here. Yeah, lay down. It's a storm coming in. Yeah, it's a storm coming in. All right, I don't know what is up, okay? But anyway, here we have it. You have the Judgment and the High Priestess. This could be someone that literally wants another chance with you after a really difficult ending, Pisces. This can also be an energy where this is kind of like a spiritual awakening where we have a deeper, like more complete relationship with our intuition after letting go of a really difficult mental cycle. You know, if you go through a period of time where you have a lot of ruminating thoughts and where your head is almost driving you crazy because, you know, you're being self-critical, things that have happened have really left you in a negative mental state where you're just constantly kind of beating yourself up about things or trying to process things, and it's draining and it's exhausting and it prevents you from really closing out the cycle and moving on from it. You know, you eventually get to a place where you can almost sort of become uncomfortable within yourself, you know, through this process, especially if you have a really overactive, and I don't want to say overactive like it's a judgment thing, because it's not. But when you have a really active, I'll say that, mental body, it can be extremely draining and extremely difficult. And, you know, again, if this is you, I highly recommend Michael Singer and I highly recommend Mooji for this particular ailment. Mooji is spelled M-O-O-J-I. Put it in your Google search and you'll find a ton of really rewarding videos, I feel. But this is about putting that to an end. And we see it here too with the Six of Swords being clarified by the Knight of Wands in reverse. It's like, I'm not, you know, when we are filled with a bunch of, I want. If I have this, then I'll be happy. If I reach this place, then I'll be happy. If I can have that, then I'll be happy. We're never happy now. And even when we get those things, our mind will move on to the next thing. And it's constantly, I want, I need. I have to have this to be happy. And that never works. It is never going to work. Yes, you can employ it, and yes, you can live your entire life by it, but it is not a peaceful place. And the Six of Swords is talking about going from a place of really choppy waters mentally into a place of smooth and calm waters mentally. And in order to do that, we have to find it within ourselves. You know, we have to be the reflecting point for ourselves. We have to be able to sit with ourselves and to be okay with where we are right now. We have to have a place of peace and acceptance and understanding and trust in the universe that we are exactly where we are meant to be. And that everything is happening exactly as it's supposed to. That is how we have mental peace. We don't get mental peace when we're constantly pursuing that thing outside ourselves that is going to complete us or is going to bring us happiness or is going to, you know, bring us a sense of contentment. It never works. It will only work for a minute. So this is rising above this cycle. It is having, no, honey and Bhakti, come on. There's nobody out there. There's no way. We're about to get a big storm. Honey, lay down. Girlfriend, what are you doing? Lay down. Lay down. Here, let me get you your bone. Here's your bone. Stay out of the treat bags. No, stay out of the treat bag. Eat your bone. Look at this pretty bone. This pretty green bone. There. Now you take that. Yeah. And so with the High Priestess, this is coming inside oneself. And this is trusting one's own intuition. And it is an incredibly empowered energy because it is saying everything that I have, I already have within myself. I contain it within myself. My ability to self-soothe, my ability to find happiness, my ability to find peace, my ability to connect with my highest and best self. I can rise above this human condition of thinking that I need something outside myself, and I can instead rely on the alignment that is within me. And when I'm in alignment with myself, I automatically attract what is in alignment with me to me. Okay? And that's what this whole reading seems to be about. Holy shit. You have the sun and the moon. That is divine masculine and divine feminine energy right there. We had a similar energy to this yesterday, and it even had the 10 of eyes, I want to say was the card, which is the 10 of swords. So this is like the universe is saying, hello, Pisces, pay attention, you know, like this is, I'm trying to tell you this, you know. This is the balance of masculine and feminine energy within ourselves. The masculine energy is this active energy of like, I'm going out to do. And we do need to feel a sense of accomplishment and a sense of, you know, I did this myself, or I made this happen, or look at what I've achieved, or, you know, I always like, I actually enjoy doing the dishes. I do a lot of dishes because I like to bake and cook and, you know, feed my family and my friends and my neighbors and, you know, so I do a lot of dishes, but I find it to be so gratifying because like the whole process of cooking from start to finish, and that includes doing the dishes for me. And you know, some people like their husband, if they cook, their husband does the dishes and stuff. I like doing the whole cycle myself. I really do. It's all very meditative for me. And but the dishes is like one of those things that happens a couple times a day, right? Where I have this sense of accomplishment where there's a whole sink full of dirty dishes and I clean them all and I, you know, put them in the dishwasher or you know, wash them and dry them and put them away. And that mess is gone and I did it, you know, and not only that, but I fed people that I love and I tried maybe a new recipe or this or that. There's like this sense of, yeah, I couldn't have been doing anything better with my time or my day, you know, where when my kids were little and I had to do dishes, I thought I was going to lose my mind over the dishes. Like it's taken me this very long period of time to get to this place where I really experience gratitude doing my dishes and, you know, getting everything squared away and completing the task. And, you know, that is masculine energy of, you know, doing the activity, right? But it is feminine energy, right? Because it is meditative and because I'm open and I'm open to the universe and I'm open to receive any messages that the universe wants to give me. I have a lot of realizations and great ideas and epiphanies and, you know, I'll see things that I want to paint, all, you know, like all these things while I'm doing my dishes. And so it's like completing an act and taking an action, but it's also being open to receive, you know, and being in a good place, in a place of gratitude for, you know, this life and for this opportunity to try the new recipe, to provide for people that I love, to, you know, complete a task, for my dishes, for, you know, I even a lot of times will even think, gosh, I'm grateful to have running water in my house, you know what I mean? And hot water in my house. And, you know, I mean, truthfully, and a dishwasher. Oh my goodness, my grandma, she didn't have a dishwasher growing up. She used to tell me about it all the time when we did her dishes. And so funny because she bought a lot of dishes that had like gold on them, so you had to hand wash them anyway, and she never minded because she hand washed, you know, like her whole life, and it was just not a big deal. But she wanted beautiful things, and so if she had to hand wash them, she didn't care. And I was just always like, oh, I'm never buying stuff like that. Like, I'm only buying stuff that goes in a dishwasher. Like, I'm never, you know, she was like 88 and still washing her dishes by hand. She was so cute. She had her little method, you know. But this is like that balance of, you know, achieving a task or going after what you want in life, using your free will choices. Like, in order to get in the sailboat and have the wind blow you, you have to first make the choice to get in the sailboat. You have to take that action, and then you can receive the wind blowing you, right? So there's this balance here that occurs when we are really in alignment and things are really working out for us, that takes difficulty, or the how do I even want to say it? It's like the dis-ease and the displeasure out of things, and restores them, because we're balanced, because in that state we are filled, we are satisfied, we are content. But it is kind of a free will choice to do that. We can rise above our human condition anytime we want. We can rise above only being able to swim so fast by giving into the wave. We can rise above our ability to like only oar for so long and so far by giving into the wind and letting us push it. You know, we can give into, I don't want to do this task, by looking at it differently and making the choice to see it as the completion of a cycle of something that we're extremely grateful for in our life, you know. And so with this hangman here and this point of reflection that keeps coming out for you guys, and the hangman is your card and the moon is your card, it's like shifting your way of being, shifting your perspective, shifting your way of looking at things. Instead of even maybe looking at this as a sacrifice, often we talk about the hangman as a sacrifice, as being hung up, you know, he's tied up by his leg. This could be very uncomfortable. This could be a miserable thing, right, if we let it. But instead, he's using this time as a time to get enlightened. See the rays coming out of his head? These talk about enlightenment. He's spiritually learning and growing. And so, you know, what kind of sacrifice is that? What is a higher and better use of your time? Maybe you're hung upside down and you're tied up, but you are making the active choice to make it something worthwhile to experience, okay? Wow. I just want to point out the Lovers is also underneath the hangman here. You guys have a soulmate coming in. It's crazy because when you find your person, and I don't want to talk badly about the person that I was with before I was with my husband. I mean, it was like 1,000 years ago. I'm sure he's a very different person now. But he cheated on me. He lied to me. It was like constant turmoil. I didn't really see it that way. I thought it was love. But anyway, when I met my husband and I got with my husband, and even many times while I've been married, this guy actually even reached out to contact me, like when I'd been married, I don't know, between 5 and 10 years. It was a long time ago. He reached out to contact me on Facebook and wanted to be friends, and found out that we lived like 45 minutes away from each other in Florida when we did not grow up here. And we were 1,000 miles away from home, or from where we lived when we met. And I was like, no, because I respect my husband, and that's just weird. But he was always a cheater, so, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what he was thinking about. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is, multiple times in my marriage, when I was with him, and even when we were in separate periods of separation or whatever, I always thought, I have to get back together with him. I'll die if I don't. Oh my God, you know, I'll never find anybody else. Like, I remember, and yeah, I remember, and even friends of mine from back then will tease me about it now. But, you know, I just thought, like, this is the end all be all, you know. But when I got with my husband, there have been many, many times, many, many points of reflection where I have said to myself, oh my gosh, thank God that didn't work out. And thank God I ended up with my husband, because, like, just going through what you go through in life, I could not have had a more supportive, loving partner. But also, I just know the first guy's emotional bandwidth and, like, his ability to have weathered the storms of life with me was just not there. And, you know, to be what I needed, or, you know, I can't even say to describe it, but, and it doesn't even come across in in my experience as, oh, you know, comparing my husband with this other guy. It just comes in as, I'm so thankful it's my husband and not anybody else on the planet. Like, oh my gosh, thank God for my husband. You know, but in saying that, it's also like and it's not anybody else, you know what I mean? But it's like with the hangman, you always reflect on what you know directly, right? And on what your past experiences are. And in choosing my husband and ending up with my husband, I have like, you know, what is this, like, how do you say it? There are a lot of things that were heartbreaking in and of themselves and that caused my suffering, but my relationship was not one of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I let go of my entire family. I've moved a lot. I've done, you know, there's been a lot of, I've lost my grandma. I lost people that I love so much to death, my 2 cousins. You know, and our dogs that we've had over the years and different things. And, you know, it has been, those have all been sufferings that I couldn't have avoided, right? That was going to happen. But the choice that I made in who to be with eased my suffering. And in reflection, and when I look back on my whole life, when I look back on my whole life, I can see how the choice I made in partner, like, buoyed me through the storms, you know, through the suffering, allowed me to release the suffering and find safety and security in the connection, in this relationship with my husband, right? And with the 3 of coins on the bottom of the deck, it is like, we have shared a vision, we have shared a plan, and we have collaborated, and we have built something, right? That is very strong. And, you know, when you look back on people that have not worked out for you, surely you can clearly see that, you know, even if, you know, this happened or that happened, or God forbid you got sick, or God forbid you know, lost your job, or, you know, your country went to war, or, you know, like, there are things that happen in life that are just unavoidable. You lost a parent, you lost someone that you loved closely, you know, you had this terrible experience at work, you were in an accident, you know, whatever the case may be. It's like, you want someone who is going to be your strength, who is going to be your partner, who is going to be your place to be able to turn to find solace and comfort. And it's you and them against the world, not you against them. And that's the thing. When you are with people who are not reliable, who cheat on you, who do these things to you, who lie to you, who whatever, you can't, that is also a source of stress. That is also a source of suffering. And you have no comfort. Where do you turn then? Where do you go to find peace, to find a soft place to fall? You're better off here, isolated, right? And so there is this heavy influence on, who am I when I'm with you? Who do I get to be? Do you provide this safe space for me to be who I really am, so that I can be seen, I can be heard, I can be my full version of myself? You know, I never have to turn down the volume on who I am with my husband. He's like, all right, I'm down for it, whatever. You know what I mean? He loves it. And he's a Taurus. He's very, like, steady and stable, and very much the same guy that I married 30 years ago. Where I have had like 50 iterations of myself, and it's been a lot of fun. And I've always enjoyed who I am when I'm with him, you know? And I've always been able to, no matter what is falling apart in the world outside, I've always been able to come to him, and he has always been a rock for me. And that's what you deserve. And it feels like that's what you're attracting. And, you know, we attract this when we figure out how to be our own rock. We attract this when we figure out how to really and truly be okay with ourselves by ourselves, you know? You guys hear the storm? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, buddy. Wow. 6 is the number today. I'm also seeing these 2 twos. So I feel there is someone here that may be making a really big decision or really big choice when it comes to love here, Pisces. And this can be even within themselves, where they have not been a good partner or they have not been a soft place to fall. You may have been that for them, but they couldn't align with you or they couldn't show up in the past because they were not in alignment with that, because they were maybe lying, doing whatever. They were not prepared. They were not able. They were not in alignment. The King of Swords energy is someone who is in alignment and someone who is really trying to do the right thing all the time. They may not always do it, and they may not always do it super emotionally, like my intuition is telling me this is the right thing to do. This is more of a black and white energy where I see it like this, but I'm extremely reliable. I'm always going to see it like this, kind of an energy, and I am always going to kind of try to do the right thing. There is a butterfly over this King of Swords head, which can indicate some kind of transformation to someone who is bringing themselves into alignment with this, who is understanding that this is what is actually needed. This is what is expected in a partnership. You have this gorgeous Lover's energy here, and then you have this gorgeous Two of Cups energy here. And it's kind of like the caduceus over the top of the relationship is, I have to be healthy in order to be a part of this connection. I have to be healthy in order to connect on a healthy level, in order to be part of Team Awesome, right? What did this card say? Healthy and open communication, spending time together, compatible and on the same page. Yeah, I've got to be that kind of partner. With these 6s here, this is something coming into alignment. So either you're finding a partner who is already in this alignment and you are in this alignment, you're in the same frequency and you're showing up and you're magnetically attracted to each other because you are such a strong frequential match. Or this is someone from your past who has had a chance to really be by themselves and really reflect and kind of come to this place of understanding that, part of the tumultuousness of life has been them. And, they had to break apart and they had to learn how to trust that there is something bigger, and that, in order for them to be able to open up to receive the kind of love they were being offered, they have to align with it. They have to match it. They have to be open to it and be vulnerable and accept it and allow it in. But here we see very strongly, we have the Two of Cups with this Three of Swords in reverse. This is a healthy partnership. This is where I'm finding comfort in you, and I am finding growth and health and well-being with you in this partnership. Instead of more suffering, we release the suffering of the world together in each other's eyes and in each other's arms. With the Lovers card, it is literally gorgeously being clarified by the Page of Cups and the Six of Cups. We started out with that beautiful Six of Cups energy. And this is my most authentic self. I have come into, alignment and non-resistance with my most authentic self. I'm not afraid to share it. I'm not afraid to be open. I'm not afraid to be vulnerable. I'm not afraid to let you in, kind of energy, and to align with this, and I want to be the protector, and I want to kind of always do the right thing by this and for this and have this be a healthy space. So this is either someone new or it is someone from your past, but they're going through a major transformation if it is someone from the past. Also at the top of this, we have the 2 crescent moons, the sign of the High Priestess. So you may be heavily on this person's mind as they are going through this transformation, or may even be like leading them through this transformation. All right, let me get you guys some message cards. This reading went way long. And I can tell you that multiple times I was like, I'm not going to go all in here. I'm not going to say everything that I want to say here. Oh my goodness, Pisces. Another one. Here we go. If you're dealing with a water sign, I am working on myself. Guilt. Oof. What is this? Regret. I am afraid to trust. It's actually gotten kind of hard to see in here with this storm. I am sorry I triggered you. Did I read this one? I am afraid to trust. I think so. All right. If we're dealing with a fire sign, what do we have? Wishy-washy. I am dreaming of you. I've been having weird dreams about us. Wow. Double confirmation. We will be together again. If I had only known then what I know now. You give me so much to look forward to and anxious. Aww. If you're dealing with an earth sign, you have stuck. My karmic story is ending. Good intentions. I want a future with you, and I am sending you telepathic messages. And if you are dealing with an air sign, I am making plans. I can't stop thinking about you. Resentment. I want to be vulnerable with you. I had no idea you would end up meaning so much to me, and I am overcoming my fears. All right, you guys, I really hope that this reading helps. I really hope that it brought some peace and clarity. If it did, you know what to do. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. I do love to hear from you. And gosh, guys, I love also when you guys tell me about your signs and synchronicities, especially around the readings. I find it fascinating, and I am no different than anyone else. I'm always hoping for confirmation in the material world of the divine blessings that are all around us all the time. Until next time, guys, I send you off with all my very best. Always, always, always. Bye-bye.